How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about a new law in California that requires inmates to be housed in a penitentiary that matches their gender identity. Now, this particular law was drafted by a guy by the name of Scott Wiener, and if that name sounds familiar, this is the same guy that says in the law that he authored that you can be a 24-year-old man and have relations with a 14-year-old boy. You might get locked up for that, but you won't be a sex offender because it's within the 10-year window. Okay, that's that same guy. And I'll place his picture right here on the screen before you so you kind of understand what kind of guy we're dealing with that drafted this law. And we know about Gavin Newsom.
Amusing, yeah, okay. A guy drafted a bad law, and he drafted another law, so this next law is bad. Okay, we get the point.
That's Nancy Pelosi's nephew. You got a whole corrupt crime family, a bunch of crazy, ridiculous, far leftist activists in government, all right? Newsom, Pelosi, Weiner, all these people. But I digress. Let's get into the actual law. Now, the law states that when you're taken into intake by the police, they're going to ask you, hey, are you transgender, non-binary, intersex? And then after you answer that, you'll be able to go to a prison that matches your particular gender identity by your request. Okay. Now you could be denied because it could be a management or security issue, but they have to write a reason why you got denied, and you have the right to appeal it. Now you have these so-called transgender activist groups that say that this law is needed not only in California but also all throughout the country, because what if you have quote-unquote transgender women, meaning men, biological men that identify as women, being housed with the men? That's going to be a big time danger because they're going to be assaulted. And you know what? They have a point, but at the same time they don't, and I'll explain that. I've not been to jail, I've not been arrested, but I know a little bit about the penitentiary from people I know that have gone personally and just from reading information about it. Now, the way it was back 20, 30 years ago, the whole thing about men that present as women being housed with other men would be a serious problem because they would get attacked. But nowadays, you have a lot of relationships going on in the penitentiary, and it's voluntary. It's not so much, people being assaulted. That does happen, but it's less of that now and more relationships between men in the penitentiary that do not and that does not involve any kind of violence.
Wow, okay, so you're fine with, um, uh, mi- people born as men that, feel that they're women, is okay to be, he feels that transgender males is okay to be in male prison populations because there's not as much rape going on nowadays as there used to be, which is a weird point to try to argue for as to why it's okay to have that. But, I mean, I guess that's your point.
To get to the point of a relationship. You understand what I'm saying? So you have willing participants. I think the bigger danger is when you house men that identify as women with other women, with biological women. That's going to be the danger, because what's going to stop somebody who is going to the penitentiary from saying, you know what, I identify as transgender? They could look like Ray Lewis when he was on the Ravens after the murder trial and say, you know what, nah, I identify as a woman. Put me in the penitentiary with the women.
So, your problem isn't actually uh, transgender men being housed with women, it's predatory cis men that want to take advantage of such requirement so that they can um, prey on more women, but you're trying to make it seem like transgender people are the problem, which is interesting.
And they still got all their equipment. They're going to go to the women's facility and it's going to be a problem. You're going to have some pregnant inmates. Now they may do the whole thing about having ADSEG, where they have some inmates on one part of the penitentiary, some on the other. But if you're gonna do all that, what's the point of even having them housed with the women? Because they're not really housed with other women. They house with other transgender or different. You know, they got like a little, what they call an alternative lifestyle unit. You're gonna be in the different unit. Why not just have a penitentiary for people that have this so-called alternative lifestyle, rather than having a separate wing of one jail for one particular biological sex? You understand what I'm saying? But I'll move right.
Okay, how about instead we house violent offenders in a separate area and non-violent offenders in a different area, which can be outside, because non-violent offenders shouldn't actually be in jail. And if your worry is violent offenders assaulting other people, well, we can take more precautions with violent offenders and not let them in the general population with people that aren't violent offenders that are, for some reason, in jail. See, he's still trying to make it seem like transgender people are the problem, when his actual problem are violent individuals seeking to abuse a new law.
Right along. They also say that you must be searched based upon your gender identity. Now, I'm not sure how that's going to work, because we got some physical differences we got going on between each of the genders. All right, there's some physical differences. If you are a male and you still have all your equipment, how will you be searched as a woman? When you get brought in the intake and it says squat and cough, and you got to lift your package. I mean, are you not going to have to do that because you identify as a woman? Are we going to pretend like you don't have male body parts? How does that really work? I'm not really understanding.
You care way too much about people's body parts. Come on, dude. What? How are we gonna have transgender people be searched by the sex that the other sex that they don't consider themselves to be? I mean, it's not like people enjoy the degrading treatment of being basically strip searched in jail. So, the biggest issue would be, how do we prevent predatory officers in jail from being able to abuse various other inmates that are coming in. You know, women that identify as men requesting a male to do a search, or being required to have a male do a search, being preyed upon. See, our problem should be, how do we help prevent marginalized groups and other people from being preyed upon by people that have the power to prey upon them, and not how do we do more to make it easier for said people to be preyed upon.
You can't just say, you know what, I identify as a woman, therefore I am, and therefore I have a woman's body. It's like, no, sir, you've been smoking Newports for the past 35 years. You look like an auto mechanic named Frank. You are not a woman, nor do you appear as one, nor do you have female body parts at all. You still got all your male body parts you had from birth. Okay, they've just gotten older. So we're going to search you as a man, but according to the law, you can't do that. You must be searched as a woman. I'm not sure how that's really going to work, but it's right there in the law. California is a crazy place. I'm glad I don't live over on the left coast, California, because rules like this, although it doesn't apply to me, I'm not going to the penitentiary, I'm not getting arrested, so it doesn't apply to me. But these types of laws that are being passed, as far as this whole 10-year quote-unquote window, the grace period, whatever they want to call it, men being housed with women in the penitentiary, things like that just point to a society that's kind of failing. And I don't mean America as a whole, I'm talking about California. And it's sad because
California is failing. No, I mean, the United States has been a failed society from the very get go. From the moment slave owners tried to claim that all men are created equal while having black people in chains, our society was a total failure.
You got regular people in California that do not identify with this crazy left wing stuff that they're pushing from Los Angeles and San Francisco, which is where your guy Scott Wiener is from. I showed you his picture. You see what's going on. You got guys like this in office. All right.
Okay, this law wouldn't affect a whole lot of people, so why do they really care? If you're cis, just tell them, hey, I'm cis, and you can get on your way.
Politics are very important because, first of all, people have power in these positions, and a lot of times people run just to get the power to do whatever they want. It might not even be about money or trying to have a career or anything of the sort. They want to get into power so they can do whatever they want to do. This guy Scott Wiener wants to normalize the extremes of his homosexual lifestyle.
I find this funny because he's just talking about the left politicians seeking power, or people on the left seeking power, but it's also on the right people seek power. I mean, that's what politics is pretty much all about. People seeking power and thinking they can dictate what goes on with millions of people.
If somebody is gay, that's fine. I'm not really worried about it, but I'm talking about the extremists. Extremism in general is a bad thing.
What extremism are you talking about? Are there homosexuals going out killing cis people so that they have the right to do whatever? No, that's not going on.
All right. I believe in being conservative. I believe in just things that are common sense. But when I go to the extreme with what I'm talking about, as far as, my way or the highway, you have no choice. You got to do what I say. There's no opposition. Then I become communist China. And although I may think my way is right, it doesn't matter because I have to be diplomatic. I have to be able to invite other people in, and we got to find the middle ground. I'm not a king. I can't rule by fiat. And I'm not, communist China to where no dissension is tolerated. If you get caught saying something bad about the president, you go to Gitmo right away, make big rocks into little rocks. We don't do that here over in America. But in California, as I like to call it, you have a different type of thing going on. You have a legal shift all the way to the left. Now, they say that as California goes, so does the nation. But I'm not really buying into that. We could put the wall up on the southern border and then put another one up right there between California, Nevada, Idaho, or whatever. Just put that wall straight on up so a lot of these crazy ideals can't get out.
Wow, let's put up a wall between California and the other states so that the ideas of California can escape. That's not how walls work. They don't prevent ideas from going across a border, nor would a border prevent airplanes from flying across. What a moronic comment.
And if you're a good person in California, we give you a pass. You come to Austin or somewhere like that, some kind of California enclave. As long as you don't make it too much like San Francisco, you'll be good to go.
Wow. First he was talking about he doesn't want it to be my way or the highway, and now it's like, let's wall off California and only let out people that fit a certain standard that I want. That is quite hilarious.
So as I close, I want to say this. This is not a good idea at all to house male inmates with females or females with males because, let's be clear, you do also have some biological women that identify as men now. You got them going the other way. So that's going to be the worst thing possible, to have a prison full of men, full-grown men, testosterone pumping, and you put a woman in there. That's the worst thing you could ever do.
So your problem isn't transgender people, it's predatory men. So why don't you talk about that? There is a total difference.
especially like in general population, like how would that work? There's no way possible that a woman could be a male's cellmate. That's just it just is not going to work. I don't care if the person looks like the roach from Men in Black, if they look like a pack of old lint in your pocket. I don't care how they look. They are a woman, period. And you in the penitentiary with a man, not even just a.
So now it doesn't matter. It's just the woman's fault if a male rapes them if they're in jail. That that totally makes no sense whatsoever. It's the person doing the assaulting's fault for assaulting another person. Quit with the victim blaming.
County jail where you at for a little while. You're talking about prison, the penitentiary. These guys might have been there 20 years with no female contact of any significance. Oh man, that is the worst thing you could do. Okay, any woman in that situation would suffice. Don't do that. It's very dangerous. Okay, and if you're gonna have them.
And it also sounds like you have problems with the prison system itself if it allows such rampant sexual abuse to go on. I mean, it makes no sense how we can claim to have some type of reformation system when the biggest fear about going to jail is getting raped or assaulted or something. And not just by inmates, but by the security guards and police staff as well. This is why we need a total change in our entire justice system. Not just the cops, but this prison enslavement system that we have that doesn't actually work on recidivism, but works on it does work on recidivism. The plan is to, have people commit crimes again and go back, so that way, you got a constant supply of labor.
And ADSEG, away from other inmates, then what's the point in having them in the jail with the men? Just build a jail for people that have different type of lifestyles, identify as a furry or a cat or a dog or a frog or whatever. Have them over there and just have prisons for men and for women, and that's it. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? Do you think that it's a good idea to house men with women and women with men because they identify as transgender, intersex, non-binary, or whatever else they want to claim? If that's your viewpoint, let me know why in the comments below. Or
No, all we gotta do is remove nonviolent offenders out of jail, keep violent offenders in jail, house them differently. We gotta remove this for prison profit system and set up an actual system to teach people various skills that they can use once they get back into the community or while working in the community and living in jail. There are different ways we can go about actually reforming people's behavior so that they can still be a functioning person in society, because the way we have it now, especially like the supermax prisons where sometimes people will go to for mundane reasons, it ends up killing people or turning people into monsters. Same with these regular prisons where people are in for a while. You got you have a non-violent offender be put into prison, and then they learn a bunch of criminal stuff from the other inmates, or end up just doing a bunch of dumb shit while in jail or prison and getting locked away forever. We could go about the way some parts of India where people spend their nights in jail, but spend the daytime working in the community, and that way they still have a connection to their community. They can work jobs, still pay for stuff, and that way, once they fully completed their sentence, they don't come into the world with no safety nets, no connections, or whatever, because a lot of times when people get out of jail after extended periods, they have no job, no money, no house, and no real family connections, so they end up turning back to crime.